How is Chery Tiggo 8 Pro holding up after 40,000 kilometers on gravel and not very nice roads of Russia? Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Dimitri, this is Value Cars Australia, and we talk about what matters the most, real owners' reviews of their ownership of vehicles that you are potentially interested in. Why Chery and why Tiggo 8 Pro? Because right now, at the moment of recording of this video intro, they are rolling out the ads for Tiggo 8 Pro. It's the hottest stuff they have on the Australian market during prime time on TV. I was watching the blog the other day, and they are showing Tiggo Pro ads right now, which costs a lot of money. Anyway, it's a good car, it's a good vehicle, by the way, not without some faults. And like I said, the only thing that truly matters is what the real owners are saying after spending a year and a half, 2 years with a vehicle. And I'm bringing to you what otherwise you don't have access to. This is why you subscribe to me. Some insights from the foreign-speaking people. 3 interview highlights today. One person had the car for 40,000 kilometers, another one for 20, also respectable, and the third one bought the car for a good reason, but relatively recently, but is a serious man and has done his research. So it's also insightful in terms of how his thinking process went and what he compared the car to before he decided to get Tiggo 8 Pro. Give the video a like before you decide to drop out. Enjoy the reviews and let me know in the comments down below what you think. It always matters to me. So the first owner here had their Chery Tiggo 8 Pro for some time and has already 40,000 kilometers on the clock, which at the moment of him publishing his video is quite a lot. So he must be doing a lot of long distance driving and whatever else he does. Unfortunately, the video is really horribly recorded, so only a few bullet points here. Generally, he actually likes the car, still likes it a lot after 40,000 kilometers. That's the first important thing. He points out the plastic chrome, those elements that the fake chrome started coming off a little bit on the doors. He sort of pokes it with the finger and he shows us on one side, and on another side there is a little bit of give there. I wouldn't say it's a critical condition, but he noticed it, so I am just offering it to you here for what it is. He mentions that he had some leaks of the window washing liquid that came through the pipe that was leading the water all the way to the tailgate window, but it got fixed. Apparently there was just a pipe attached to the container and it just came off at some point, so it was not properly attached, like a little bit of a workmanship issue, but nothing major. And the average fuel consumption over 40,000, and however that person is driving the car, was 8.4 liters over 100 kilometers. With that, we're going to go to a second sample of a second ownership, second video here, where we have a lot more information. The person actually tells us a bit more, even though the quality of the video is also leaves a lot to be desired. Let's put it that way. So this person has driven for 20,000 kilometers in his Chery Tiggo 8 Pro after 1.5 years of ownership, a year and a half. He complains immediately about the behavior of the car, where if the engine is on, but you take the car key with you when you leave the car, so you exit the car starts bleeping, kind of beep beep beep. He finds it annoying and was just commenting on how he would like to turn it off. I personally think that if you're leaving the engine on but taking a key with you and exiting the car, maybe it's actually a good thing that the car is telling you, listen, it's a bit odd that you're leaving me here with the engine running and taking the key with you. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below if you think it's an issue or if you think it's actually an okay feature. Another point he points out here about plastic and paint issues, pointing here at the frontal panels and the bumper area. He said that he had some insects stuck there after driving along the freeway for a very long time, so between cities presumably. And then he used high pressure water jet kind of to get rid of all that, to wash it off, as you would do, presumably. And apparently the stream of water chipped off some of the paint there on the front, especially on that little lid, on that little towing hook lid. That apparently afterwards the dealership told him that it's known to be the weak point where the paint often comes off, and they just repainted it. Everything is fine now, but he points out that he had that issue as well. Who knows exactly? Is it generic for the brand? Is it just for them? I don't know, but that's what he said. Most importantly, I think from this insight that we have here is that this cosmetic grille with all this cosmetic bling and this kind of big
big mesh, if you like, is very impractical. As he zooms in here, however bad the quality of the video is, you can see his point. He says that there are quite substantial gaps through which debris, little stones, gravel, insects, everything flies right in and hits the radiator panel behind that grill. Yeah, so grill lets everything in when you're traveling at a high speed on a highway and damages your radiator. So what he did is, apparently according to some recommendations on the forums, he ordered this specially made mesh to install and to protect the radiator. He ordered it from AliExpress, presumably cheaply. And I'm thinking that if upon closer examination our locally available Chery Tiggo 8 Pros score exactly the same type of grill, I think you will need to think of some kind of aftermarket protection of the radiator. He actually tried to install it himself, as apparently on the forums he was told that it's very easy. You just unscrew a couple of bolts here under the bonnet and you just hook it on and install it. But it was harder, according to him, than people made it out to sound. So he is planning to now take it to the service center and ask them to do it instead. He also points out very briefly here, kind of in passing, that he installed new rubber flaps to reduce the splattering of the mud from behind the wheels, that a lot of people do it in Russia. It's not applicable to us here in Australia. I can't think of why you would do that. Looking at the engine, everything apparently is working well, but obviously it became very, very dusty over the year and a half of driving on what looks like, just judging by the dust and stuff, on country roads or whatever other not very nice weather conditions there were. Briefly, he mentions also electronic driving assistance interfering with driving sometimes, which is concerning. As you know, I hate ELK systems from Haval, and here the direct translation that I can offer you here suggests that when he kind of tries to drive out quickly to a busy intersection, onto a busy intersection, I am presuming merging very quickly with the busy traffic where cars are everywhere, he says that the car detects trouble and turns off the engine. That's what he said literally, but I'm not sure if the car just brakes or actually turns the engine off. That would be horrible if it does that. Regardless, in a driver-calculated busy traffic environment where you're trying to squeeze into a slot in busy traffic, as a lot of us have done in the past in the traffic flow, if the car simply detects trouble and turns off the engine, that would be a disaster. Please take it for what it is. I'm just translating what I'm being told here, so you can come at me, but it will not end up well for you because you are ignoring my signal here. I'm not trying to bash the brand, I'm just translating what an owner has said. So do your research, have a conversation with the dealership. So all in all, other than this electronic interference kind of stuff, I think the paint and exposed radiator to damage are the only real issues. Now to wrap up this video, we have the final third owner who had the car for a little bit of time. He started using it a lot, but he's a relatively new owner. And the value of his video, because he's very happy with it, but the value of it is that he's done his homework. He has actually checked it against, before buying this car, he checked it against Volkswagen Tiguan, he checked Hyundai Tucson, he checked it against Nissan X-Trail, and even Skoda Kodiaq, which he briefly tells us his opinions about. Take it for what it's worth. So first of all, he says that he picked this one over Tiguan because Tiguan dealerships, at least in Russia, didn't offer any niceties, any discounts, any extras, and delivery timelines were really, really long and really, really unpleasant at the moment of him purchasing this car, which was a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken, of course. Tucson, he found just unreasonably expensive and much worse quality cameras, the reverse cameras presumably and stuff. X-Trail, main problem is CVT. He just doesn't like CVT, and he simply didn't find it comfortable. He found it rather rudimentary and kind of just like a bit bare bones inside. Skoda Kodiaq, at least in Russia, is, again, he says, way, way, way unexplainably too expensive while having relatively bad cameras and being the same size as this, so why go for worse and more expensive product? This is a 1.6 liter turbo petrol engine, same as us, I believe so, in Australia. Apparently a well-tuned DCT that is very smooth, switches the gears rather fast, like that's what he specifically calls out through his little video. It also offers an extra row of seats, obviously, so there is extra row of seats. How usable they are remains to be seen, and obviously depends on who you're gonna put into that row of seats, small kids or trying to squeeze in an adult, and offers a much larger boot than the other cars that he compared to. He generally points out, again, that's a subjective statement, but a lot of statements that owners make are subjective, including myself. He likes the improving quality of Chinese vehicles, and this one is a good example. It looks great, the design is good, it has heavy looking solid doors, like they don't close as if they're tin cans, like that have no weight to them. But he kind of closes one door here and says, look, this just feels expensive, it feels a lot more solid, which is great to hear, it's fantastic. He also briefly points out LED headlights, but I don't think that that surprises anyone these days. 360-degree cameras were already mentioned, they are very, very good. There is a good amount of space in the driver's seat position for an average height of 175 centimeters person. That's my height, by the way, for example. Automatic seat adjustment is happening for each driver, whole bunch of heated seats, whole bunch of other features that you sort of got to take for granted from the China-made cars these days, because they really, really throw a lot of bells and whistles, and good bells and whistles at us, and that's what kind of adds to the value of the cars that are comparably priced to mainstream brands such as Volkswagen, Hyundai, Kia. Minuses are small. The person taking this interview was asking him, but like, what do you not like? And he said, minuses are very small, such as like cruise control buttons, for example, on the steering wheel, are on the left-hand side under the left thumb, and he expects them to be on the right-hand side as every other car has. But my personal opinion here is that it's because originally the car must have been designed for the right-hand side steering wheel placement, such as for Australian market, let's say, I don't know, and they just moved it over there, but all the systems that were integrated on the steering wheel obviously were still done the way they were done. That's my guess, but once again, I'm inviting your comments below in case you know other reasoning or at least have a good theory. Fuel economy started for him at about 11 liters for 100 kilometers when the engine was really new, while it was going through the initial kind of phase of breaking in, so to speak. And now, by the time of him talking to us here, it lowered apparently to 10.3, so it's going down a little bit. And as we spoke just now about the very first owner with 40,000 kilometers on the clock, he claims even lower. But from as low as 8 point something, I'm just guessing that other driver must be driving not in the city but on a highway mostly. He's planning to keep this car for about 5 years, at least, again, at the moment of him giving that interview. And so far so good, and he might even keep it for longer. He very briefly mentions some issues connecting his phone. Apparently they're doing everything right, but apparently connectivity of the phone, it only charges the phone, but there is no actual maps connectivity. Well, that is why wireless adapters exist, but shameless plug. But at the same time, he is planning to take it to the dealership, to the service center, and just say, guys, diagnose what the hell's going on here. And that's it. That's all there is to say about, there are a lot, as you can see, a lot of different reviews of Chery Tiggo 8 Pro and other models that have been in Russia, for example, for a couple of years already, while they are only just appearing in Australia. So there is definitely plenty for us to look to and catch up on, I suppose, all the insights. And like I said at the beginning of the video, the only thing that matters are the real ownership reviews, in my humble opinion, because mainstream media channels, car review channels, they will only talk to you about how the car feels on the inside from 5-minute test drive. And that's why I personally quite like and enjoy both watching and translating these kinds of videos for you. If you've enjoyed this, if you've enjoyed my slightly more combined and uplifted content here, the least you can do for me is give me a quick like before you go, and subscribe for more, because more similar videos are coming to you at the pace of at least one video per week. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.